In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came unto Jerusalem, and besieged it. Thus begins a tale shrouded in the shadows of paradise lost, yet marked by a flicker of divine promise. It is within the rugged landscape where the splendor of Eden crumbled into the wilderness that the daughters of Adam and Eve, Ahlai and Azariah, emerged, both grappling with their parents' legacy and the ramifications of sin. From the eastern edge of Eden, the haunting reminder of innocence, lush foliage now tangled with thorns, the sisters navigated a world coated in sorrow, remnants of a divine curse that bound their lineage. As the firstborn, Ahlai felt the weight of expectation press upon her shoulders, a mosaic woven by God's hand but shadowed by that fateful choice in the garden. Raised under the watchful eyes of Adam and Eve, she absorbed the tales of wondrous creation interspersed with admonitions of human frailty. However, survival demanded more than memories. It required resilience forged in despair. As the days melded into years, tension grew between brothers. Cain's dark act had cast a long shadow upon their household. The love that once defined their relationships became a sidelong glance tinged with fear. What is our purpose now, O God? Ahlai often whispered to the winds as they howled over the barren ground, her heart aching with longing for a return to grace. It was under such skies that she pondered the burdens of family and legacy, eternity bartered for mere moments of rebellion, but in the darkest hours, light emerged. One fateful day, while foraging for stones to build an altar, she encountered her sister Azariah. With laughter that resonated like bells, Azariah unfurled sparks of hope amidst sorrow as shroud. Let us continue to love, Ahlai, for in love lies our strength, she declared, injecting zeal into their solemn pursuits. Together, they cultivated the ground where forgiveness was sown, planting seeds of faith amid chaos and fracture, believing that new life would bloom in the ashes. As seasons turned and the clouds of despair lingered, Ahlai drew nearer to her mother. Eve's own weariness reflected upon her daughters, her scars deep yet testifying to love as enduring power. We are caught in God's plan, Eve spoke in hushed tones, a truth born from her own suffering. Ahlai sought the divine intersection between their human frailty and the threads of hope that God had woven through their plight. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. With each evening's descent, Ahlai found herself standing upon a rocky outcrop, staring into the valley wrought with the memories of her parents' expulsion. Yet here, amidst heartache, she recognized purpose and invitation to strive for redemption that echoed the promises draped in silence. The daughters of Adam and Eve were not mere vessels for tragedy, they were warriors of faith, navigating the perilous land with courage and determination to forge new paths for their kin. But as the air thickened with an impending storm, Ahlai's soul surged with a question that pierced the darkness. What if we, too, are called to break the cycle of sin and establish the hope of a new covenant? The heavens rumbled, whispers of the divine igniting her heart as she contemplated the unfathomable wonders that awaited if only she would dare to believe and act. The horizon darkened, fate suspended, leaving the world eager for the unfolding of God's sacred plan. And it came to pass, as Ahlai stood upon the rocky outcrop, the wind swelled and a voice as gentle as a whisper fluttered through the trees, beckoning her to listen. Fear not, Ahlai, daughter of man, for I am with you. The skies, once heavy with clouds, parted ever so slightly, revealing a sliver of light that danced across her face. In that moment, the veil of her doubt began to lift, and a flicker of hope ignited within her. Ahlai, the fruit of your labor will not be in vain, the voice continued, resonating within her spirit. She sought the origin of the sound but discovered only the rustling leaves as her guide. In that place of solitude, she surrendered her fear and opened her heart to God's grand design. Azariah, too, felt this stirring within her soul. Together they sought the wisdom of their mother, Eve, who, weary yet unwavering, listened intently. What hast thou heard, my daughters, that thy countenance bears such light?" she inquired, her eyes reflecting both pain and the strength of a survivor. "We have felt a calling, mother. A calling to seek the one who promised redemption," Ahlai replied, emboldened by the subtle movements of the divine. Eve's heart, though laden with sorrow, swelled with pride for her daughters who dared to hope amidst despair. "In the days of your forefather, Abel, the Lord spoke of a promise that would arise from the ashes of our failures," Eve said, her voice edged with ancient memory. "This hope will bear a seed that is both a blessing and a deliverance. Have courage, for you are the heirs of a sacred promise." They gathered in prayer, desiring divine guidance, their voices mingling with the echoes of the ages, cries for mercy, unity, and understanding intertwined. There, in the silence after their supplications, the light began to grow, enveloping them in warmth, but lo, as laughter lightened their spirits, a shadow loomed just beyond their gathering. Like vines encroaching on a fruitful tree, tension once more unsettled their family. Cain, bitter and embittered, approached with the weight of jealousy and suspicion coiling around him. "What secret do you share?" he demanded, his voice a low growl. He could sense that something sacred was transpiring, a reality that threatened the narrative of his own existence. "We speak of hope, brother," Azariah declared, standing firm before him. "Hope that God will not forsake us, even amidst our shortcomings." The air thickened with unspoken words as Cain's despair clawed within him. "Do not speak to me of hope," he barked, "for my heart knows only the weight of regret." Yet the youthful resolve of his sisters pierced his darkness. And in that moment, Ahlai, emboldened by the voice that stirred her spirit, looked into her brother's eyes. "We are all bound by the scars of our choices, Cain. But each scar tells a story, a testament to our journey. We can choose the path of redemption, or the path of suffering. The choice lies within you." Cain faltered, struck by her words. For though his heart throbbed with resentment, somewhere deep within, embers of yearning, of longing for forgiveness, mingled in his soul. Thus, Ahlai, Azariah, and Eve pressed forth into the unknown, their hearts tethered to the promise of God's unwavering love. Together they summoned the courage to face the adversities ahead, but the curtain had yet to rise on the ultimate resolution of their trials. The stage was set, their faith intertwined with divine purpose, yet the true depth of God's plan remained shrouded in mystery. Would the lineage of Abel find restoration? Would Cain's choices turn from bitterness to healing? As the promise swirled like autumn leaves in the wind, it silently unfolded, hinting at a destiny far beyond their comprehension, echoing through the corridors of time and space. What would be revealed in the tapestry of their faith? The questions hung like stars muted by clouds, drawing the sisters and their kin closer to the unfolding saga of redemption, as God began to weave his sovereign design into the fabric of their very existence. And it came to pass that a stillness fell upon the land, a moment suspended as the hearts of Ahlai, Azariah, and Eve sought the assurance of God's presence. Cain, caught in the tumult of his own spirit, stood at the precipice of decision, the weight of his past swirling around him like a tempest. Suddenly, as dusk enveloped the land in a shroud of twilight, a figure approached from the shadows, a traveler, weary yet filled with purpose. His name was Seth, and he bore the mantle of his father, Adam, cultivating in him the promise of both grief and hope. His countenance shone with the light of understanding, and his eyes sparkled with the wisdom of trials endured. "Peace be upon you, my sisters and my brother," Seth said softly, yet his words held strength. "I sensed a gathering of spirits yearning for reconciliation. What burdens do you carry that I might share in your sorrow?" With hesitant hearts, Ahlai and Azariah opened their souls to their brother. They spoke of the vision that had gripped them, the stirring of faith within, and the shadows that lingered still within Cain. Seth, with compassion, looked upon Cain, whose brow furrowed in turmoil. "Behold, beloved brother," Seth offered, "the journey to healing is but a step away. You are not alone in your suffering, for the Lord who breathed life into us desires to mend our wounds." Cain shifted uneasily, the raw pain of his choices clawing at his heart. "What do you know of my suffering?" he spat, though his voice trembled. "My actions have severed not only my connection to God but also to you, my family. Seth stepped closer, extending a hand infused with understanding. The scars you carry can lead you to the grace that awaits. The Lord is mighty to save, even from the depths of despair. Do not harden your heart, for it is written, "A broken spirit and a contrite heart thou wilt not despise," Psalm 51 verse 17. As the words sank deep, Cain's defenses began to crumble, revealing the frailty of the human heart seeking renewal. "I am lost," he whispered, the truth of his plight flooding forth, yet in that very moment, the air crackled with an unseen force. A tremor of divine presence rippled through the gathering, as if the heavens themselves paused to listen. Ahlai, feeling the weight of the sacred intertwining with earthly anguish, turned her gaze to the distant horizon where the last rays of sunlight fought against encroaching night. "Hope remains, dear brother," she said, her voice steady as the roots of a great tree. "The path we tread may be fraught with challenge, but in each step lies the possibility of redemption. Let not your heart be troubled, for the Almighty still speaks." Eve, witnessing the unfolding reconciliations, raised her arms in fervent prayer, calling upon the Maker who had breathed life into them all. "Let mercy reign upon us, O Lord. May the bond of our family find healing through the blood that cries out for deliverance." As the shadows thickened, the figure of Seth began to glow brighter, illuminating the darkness around them. "My siblings," he proclaimed with urgency, "the time draws near for the fulfillment of our Father's promise. I bear witness to a fire that will consume all that is unholy, yet from these ashes will rise a new creation, pure and unblemished." The words hung in the air, heavy with prophetic weight, igniting a fervor in their hearts. Was this the ember of hope they had long sought? Could it be that from the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve would emerge a lineage of redemption, woven into the very tapestry of God's purpose for humanity? Thus, the family of Adam stood at the crossroads of fate, trailing the cusp of divine revelation. What awaited them was the unfolding of a promise that would echo through the ages. Would Cain find the strength to lay down his burdens? Would the lineage be restored through the hands of those who dared to forgive? And so, as the sun dipped low, a new dawn beckoned just beyond the horizon. The sovereign plan of God began to weave its intricate threads, promising to reshape the very narrative of human existence. What was hidden in the shadows, drawing closer to the light, awaited revelation that would unveil the heart of creation itself. And it came to pass that as they lingered in the sacred stillness, the weight of their shared burdens drew them closer, hearts intertwining in the pursuit of divine grace. Cain, feeling the flicker of hope stoked by Seth's words, beheld his brother's earnest gaze and found, amidst the rubble of guilt and despair, a tender flicker of longing for acceptance. "Seth," Cain uttered, a tremor escaping with his breath, "can redemption truly touch one so broken as I? Is there a promise that can pierce the veil of my sin and lead me back into light?" Seth, hearing his brother's plea, allowed the silence a moment to fill the air, wrapping them in contemplative reverence. In the depths of despair resides the seed of renewal. It is not the greatness of one's sin that distances us from God, but the refusal to seek His mercy. For it is written, "All that the Father giveth me shall come to me, and him that cometh to me I will in no wise cast out," John 6 verse 37. Azariah, with the fierce spirit of a lion tempered by compassion, stepped forward. "We stand not as judges but as seekers of healing. If forgiveness is to dwell among us, let it not find its roots in judgment but in understanding, even for you, dear brother. We are knit together in truth and love, and I wish to help you carry the weight of your sorrow." As she spoke, the lingering light of the dying sun danced upon their faces, and in that moment of vulnerability, every heart felt the gentle tug of God's sovereignty aligning their paths. Cain's eyes glistened with unshed tears as he grappled with an overwhelming wave of emotion, the sheer depth of connection pressing against his heart. "Forgive me," Cain implored, his voice barely a whisper, yet echoing with the strength of 1,000 souls. "Forgive my transgressions that have marred our family. Allow me to find a path that does not end in darkness." Eve, witnessing the sacred exchange, lifted her hands once more in solemn prayer. "O Lord, grant us wisdom to forgive as we have been forgiven, and to hold one another in the light of your love. Let our lineage be restored as a testament to your unfathomable mercy." As those words resounded through the gathering, there came a sudden rush of wind, heralding a moment of divine visitation. The air thickened with the presence of the Almighty as shadows receded and the heavenly light cascaded round about them. Seth's countenance transformed, as if the very essence of purity enveloped him. "Behold," Seth proclaimed, his voice reverberating within the deep crevices of their hearts. "This is but the beginning of God's sacred promise. From our family will arise not just as individuals but as vessels of redemption, brothers, sisters, and one future generation who will carry forth the lineage of faith through trials unnumbered." In the swelling of that divine revelation, hope ignited like a wildfire among the gathered. They found themselves at the confluence of grace and impending glory, the weight of their lineage both fraught with sin and illuminated with divine potential beginning to shift into something far greater. Suddenly, from the shadows, a voice rang out, a voice laden with authority. "What you see now is but a glimpse of a covenant that shall bind the generations to come. Yet, the way forward will not be without tribulation. The scars of the past may pave a road fraught with perils, but fear not, for I will uphold those who tread upon this path. The hearts of many shall turn back to me, and the earth shall empty its burdens as a new creation emerges." With hearts racing, they turned toward the voice, marveling at the unfolding mystery. The promise lay before them, vast and unknowable. Would their choices echo according to the divine design? What was destined to arise from the ashes of their family's strife remained hidden yet surged with an energy that beckoned them toward the unknown. As twilight melted into night, the stars glimmered above, whispering of promises yet fulfilled, casting shadows of anticipation into their awaiting spirits. There lay before them the horizon of fate, the dawn of an astonishing legacy woven intricately by the hand of God, prompting the question that lingered unspoken: what mighty works would spring forth from the heart's yearning for redemption? And it came to pass, as the night deepened and the light of the stars illuminated the earth, that a heavy stillness enveloped them, pregnant with expectation. The weight of the moment pressed upon each heart, as fear and wonder danced in their spirits. Cain, still bearing the marks of his tumultuous past, felt a flicker of hope ignite, a new hope that perhaps redemption could cradle him within its gentle touch. Eve, sensing the stirring of divine purpose, spoke softly, "O sons and daughters of the Most High, let us not shrink back from the weight of our history, but rather embrace the promise of our future. For what has been marred by sin may yet be transformed into a tapestry of grace that declares the glory of our Maker." In that moment, Seth turned to his mother, his eyes mirroring her faith, and raised his voice like a clarion call. "Indeed, the hand of the Lord moves among us. Our trials are not mere shadows of despair but are threads in the great loom of God's design. Let us gather together, hearts united, for the hours ahead shall test our resolve." As dawn approached, the encroaching light appeared as a herald of divine assurance. Azariah, encouraged by this gathering of souls, stepped forward and raised her hands toward the heavens, her voice breaking the morning hush. "We must seek the heart of the Lord, a heart that forgives and heals, that lifts the weary and raises the fallen." Lo, a whisper brushed through the air, as if the very breath of God graced their ears. "Seek me with all your heart, and you shall find the treasures stored within my love." With reverence, they all knelt, acknowledging the burgeoning promise that soared forth from the silence. Cain felt the shadows of his past slip further away, as though a veil was lifting, revealing a pathway yet unseen. "O God," he pleaded, "if your mercy is true, then let it rain down upon me, wash away the remnants of my sin, and bind our family as one unified body under your love." The response reverberated across the firmament. "I have heard your cries, O Cain. There are yet daughters to rise from this lineage, strong and filled with purpose, destined to break chains and hold fast to the covenant I am establishing with all who seek me." Seth, stirred by the promise, asked, "What shall these daughters accomplish? Will they stand as deliverers amidst a fallen world?" Indeed, the voice continued, with a cadence of power and grace. "Through them shall the dawn of a new beginning shine forth. Their spirit shall be fierce, and their hearts, tender. They will weave the threads of faith into the fabric of humanity, and yet the world will not easily receive them, for they will walk through fire, but they will not be consumed." The stars overhead seemed to shimmer in affirmation, while Eve, feeling the burden of hope envelop her, encouraged her sons, bear witness to this revelation. The path will twist and turn, but trust in the Sovereign One who knows the plans He has for us, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give us a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Each member of their sacred assembly felt the weight of divine destiny pressing upon their souls, yet the shadows lingered, warning of trials that loomed just beyond sight. Believe, the Lord's voice resonated, for as surely as the dawn breaks forth, so shall your lineage flourish in the face of adversity. What others see as chaos, I weave into a tapestry of redemption for generations to come. As the first light broke the horizon, illuminating their faces, a glimmer of realization dawned within each heart, igniting a daring question: what strength would rise from the daughters of Adam and Eve, and how would they reshape the world? In the sacred intertwining of their lives, God's sovereign plan lay not just in promise, but in the hands of those willing to embrace their calling, compelling them to venture forth into the unknown. And it came to pass, as the sun ascended, casting its golden light upon the earth, that the hearts of those gathered were stirred anew. Cain, who had borne the burden of his past, felt the warmth of hope bloom within him. The righteousness of God infused the air, and with each breath, he sensed a renewal of purpose. Eve, cradling Seth's hand within hers, turned her gaze toward the horizon where the light broke forth. The dawn is here, she proclaimed, and with it, the promise of change. Our daughters shall rise, powerful and anointed. They shall be vessels chosen to bring forth life and truth, heralding the way for those who believe. Seth nodded, his spirit ignited by her words. Let us dwell on the word of our Lord, for truly, He has great things in store. The daughters of our lineage shall be mighty in spirit, warriors against darkness. He lifted his voice, proclaiming, they shall bring forth deliverance not through might alone, but through the humility of faith and the strength of the heart. Azariah, captivated by Seth's fervor, stepped forth. Amen. For it is the heart of the righteous that shall guide them. They shall cry out for justice, and the God of their fathers shall hear them. As she spoke, she looked towards Cain, who stood under the weight of atonement and yearning. Brother, she continued, the day of reckoning approaches even now. What of the struggles that have shaped your heart? You have tasted the bitterness of sin, but grace shall also be yours. For it is written, if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us. 1 John 1 verse 9. With a deep breath, Cain responded, his voice trembling yet firm. O Lord, if my heart has been seen in the light of your mercy, then let it be so. I shall teach my daughters, that they might be strong in faith, even amidst tribulation and despair. As the morning light fell upon them, gathering their shadows into one, a sense of purpose enveloped the group. They formed a circle, each facing one another, a tapestry woven from their collective hopes and prayers. Pray with me, Eve urged, for we are not simply waiting, we are about to traverse a path unknown, yet filled with divine promise. And so, they bowed their heads, hearts lifted to the heavens, intertwining their voices in an earnest plea. O God of our forefathers, gift us with wisdom and courage. Let not our doubts overshadow the faith you have instilled within us. May our daughters rise like eagles, unyielding before the storms that will come. In the silence that followed their prayer, a gentle breeze whispered through the trees, and the heavens seemed to respond with a celestial sigh. Fear not, for I am with you, spoke the voice again, thundering softly as it cascaded over them. The daughters of Adam and Eve shall bear witness to my greatness, for they are destined to be trailblazers of truth, voices in the wilderness. As the day unfolded, they felt a divine urgency swirl among them, a stirring that pressed against the fabric of their lives. Rejoice, for the legacy of your faith shall ripple far beyond what you see today, the voice continued, resonating with a promise that held generations within its embrace. Yet, a shadow flickered just beyond their vision, a portent of the challenges that lay ahead. The voice warned, but take heed. For their journey will not be without peril. The adversary prowls, seeking whom he may devour. 1 Peter 5 verse 8. With hearts bolstered by both expectation and trepidation, they rose, determined to walk forward into the unfolding of God's sovereign plan. Thus begins the story of your lineage, the voice declared, imbued with authority. For from these daughters shall spring forth a legacy of courage and strength, shaping the very essence of my purpose upon the earth. Stand firm, for the unfolding mystery will reveal truths yet unknown. And as they ventured forth into the light of day, the air thick with promise and the tremors of destiny whispered among them, they knew that a wondrous journey awaited one that would forever weave their futures with the threads of God's unwavering love. And it came to pass that as they stepped forth into the embrace of the new day, a hush fell upon the grove, and the air brimmed with expectancy. The voices that had risen in prayer mingled with the sounds of creation, a symphony orchestrated by the divine hand. A sense of urgency flickered within them, igniting a flame of determination that would burn brightly through the trials ahead. Cain, still feeling the weight of his past, turned to Seth and said, "There is a burden within me, a desire to guide our daughters down the path of righteousness. We must teach them the ways of the Lord, to prepare them for the battles that lie ahead." His eyes bore the shadow of his previous sins, but also the light of newfound resolve. Seth, nodding in agreement, replied, "Indeed, brother, but let us also remember the gift of God's grace. We must instill not just strength but a deep abiding love for our Creator, for it is He who will guide their hearts." He looked towards the horizon, where the sun bathed the land in golden hues, reflecting the promise of divine abundance. Eve spoke softly, her voice like a balm. "Let us call upon the names of our daughters, for in them lies the promise and the hope of our lineage. They shall dance upon the heights of the mountains, singing praises to the one who sustains us." With purpose, they retreated to the shelter of their dwelling, where the roots of heritage intertwined with the present. Within the confines of their home, they prepared a sacred place. Eve gathered herbs of the field, instilling within them the essence of prayer. Seth brought stones, each representing the blessings that had been bestowed upon their family. As they worked side by side, the sisters of Seth were drawn to the murmurs of their parents. The elder girls, Ada and Zillah, stepped forward, sensing the divine stirring within. "Mother, what is this that you do?" they asked in unison, their voices a harmonious blend of curiosity and reverence. Eve smiled warmly. "Dear daughters, we are laying the foundation for the faithful. Soon, you shall come to know the call of God upon your lives. Your hearts shall be vessels of His truth. You are chosen unto greatness." The air crackled with anticipation, and the gathering shadows began to wane as the splendor of the day unfolded. Azariah stood apart, a fire in her heart and wonder in her eyes. But what of the adversary? She pondered aloud, acutely aware of the lurking darkness that threatened their steps. Shall we not prepare their spirits to withstand the wiles of the enemy? "Fear not," Cain interjected, "for he who called us is greater than he who is in the world. Let our prayers cover them as a shield. We shall raise our voices together, for prayer is the weapon of our warfare." Thus, a mighty cry arose from the heart of the family, intertwining heaven and earth. They called upon the name above all names, drawing strength from the well of faith that spilled over within their hearts. "O Lord, prepare us to walk according to your purpose and protect the daughters of our lineage." As whispers of prayer encircled them, a flicker of vision danced before their eyes, a glimpse of the unseen, a prophetic thread pulling them forward into the tapestry of destiny. In that sacred moment, a promise unfurled in the silence, heavy with expectation, "For from your daughters shall rise a lineage so profound, so marked by faith, their influence shall echo through time." Yet, upon the edge of this new beginning, a whisper of foreboding threaded through their hearts, a reminder that before promise comes the test, and that the darkness would not remain still. The haunting question lingered in the air: what would be required of them to see God's plan manifest? And in this unfolding mystery, they understood each trial would serve as the foundation of their legacy, carrying the weight of their faith into the generations yet to come. For a new dawn awaited, one that would reveal the depths of God's sovereign plan, hidden yet ever present, ready to transform pledged promises into divine reality. And it came to pass that the days flowed like the gentle stream, each one carrying with it the seeds of promise, as the family tended their dwelling and their spirits awakened to the whisperings of the Almighty. The lessons of the Lord were woven into their daily lives, branding them with truth. In the stillness of the dusk, when the golden light began to surrender to the embrace of twilight, the sisters gathered beneath the great oak, a sacred witness to their lineage. What is it that the Lord would speak through us? Ada asked, her voice tinged with wonder. She glanced toward Zillah, whose confidence was burgeoning with each shared prayer. Zillah, her heart ablaze with expectancy, replied, "Perhaps the Lord's message flows through the river of our laughter and songs. Let us sing and weave our worship into the fabric of the night." Together, the sisters lifted their voices, their harmonies echoing across the vastness of creation, but little did they know, within the shadows of the grove, the adversary stirred, his eyes set upon the rising daughters of Eve, whose song was a declaration of faith. The air thickened with a malevolent presence, searching for a crack in their armor of unity and prayer. Azariah, ever vigilant, sensed the shift, her intuition honed by the holy whispers of truth. "Beware," she cautioned, her brow creased with concern. "The enemy prowls, seeking whom he may devour. We must bolster our bond, for our strength lies not merely in song but in our collective spirit." Cain, overhearing the murmur of distress, approached with an air of authority. "My daughters, let your hearts be firm, for we are fortified in the love of our God. In unity, we rise, scatter not, for our bonds are forged in divine purpose." Yet the darkness sought to plant seeds of doubt. The sisters, despite their certainty, found themselves beset by questions. What if the enemy is too strong? Ada whispered, her voice barely above the sighing breeze. "Fear not, for it is written, 'The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want,'" Seth reassured, grounding them in God's promise. "He guides us, though we walk through the valley of shadows, we shall not fear." His confident words melted the uncertainty like morning dew kissed by the sun. The night deepened, a flicker of light danced upon the horizon, an ethereal beacon that illuminated the darkness surrounding them. In that magical moment, a divine vision surged forth, uncoiling like a vine, revealing the unfolding story of their lineage. The siblings beheld a wondrous cascade of generations, each daughter a reflection of strength, resilience, and faith. "Look!" Seth cried, "Our names echo through the ages. They stand resolute, becoming leaders and warriors, mothers of nations nurtured in the truth of Yahweh." Their hearts burned with holy purpose, awakening to the very call they were designed to fulfill. "What shall we name these daughters?" Azariah questioned, her spirit ignited with inspiration. "In our care, they shall be known as Tabitha, who will serve others with love, and Miriam, who will sing of victory and lead with courage." Ada exclaimed, her heart soaring as the visions drew forth incredible possibilities, but amidst their joy, a nagging shadow loomed. For behind the brilliance of the promise, the adversary cunningly plotted to fracture their faith. "What then must we endure?" Zillah asked, sensing a profound depth beneath the excitement. "Will there be trials that test our resolve?" With a solemn nod, Cain addressed them, "Indeed, trials will shape us like fire tempers the finest gold. But remember, our God is a consuming fire. He will refine us and remove all impurities in the shaping of His purpose." As they joined hands, a powerful resolve surged through their hearts. Suddenly, the weight of God's plan pressed heavily yet lovingly upon them, a reminder that hope and challenge are intertwined in divine mystery, and as the flock of stars shimmered upon the canvas of night, their faith began to anchor as they prepared for the road ahead. In this unfolding saga of promise and peril, a stirring revelation loomed, for the time would soon come when the daughters of Adam and Eve would unleash a legacy so profound that the earth itself would quake in response to their faithfulness. In that sacred moment, a reminder echoed within their souls, for the battles fought now shall illuminate the path for countless generations, revealing the heights of God's sovereign design. The whisper of destiny lingered in the air, a divine hook, revealing more than they could fathom, a testament to the unfolding glory of God's sacred purpose. And so it was, as the sisters stood together, hands interlaced, the ground beneath them quaked with a whisper of the divine. The darkness that had lingered like a shadow loomed closer, stirring up confusion and fear in the heart still aflame with hope. Ada, her brow furrowed, spoke with urgency. "What are we to do in the face of such trials? How can we remain steadfast when the very foundations of our faith seem threatened?" Zillah, drawing strength from the collective presence of her sisters, turned her gaze upward, as if seeking comfort from the very heavens. "Let us remember the words spoken to our ancestors. I will be with you, I will never leave you nor forsake you, Joshua 1 verse 5. If we are to be warriors of faith, we must stand firm against the storm. The echo of her bravado filled the grove, but the air grew heavy, as if the night itself sighed in resistance. Azariah, with a heart unyielding to doubt, felt a surge of divine assurance. Blend your hearts in praise, for it is in worship that we find our conquering strength. Sing to the Lord, for he has done glorious things, Isaiah 12 verse 5. As they closed their eyes, the sisters lifted their voices in a psalm, resonating with reverent harmony. The music wove through the trees, creating a refuge of tones in which their souls danced. Yet the adversary, relentless in his scheming, whispered lies that sought to invade their sanctuary. I shall entangle you in discord, he hissed, his deceitful tongue weaving doubts. What place have you in the lineage of the Almighty? Are you not but shadows of your forebears, destined to crumble? But, emboldened by the words of their forefather Seth, they pressed on. Do not fear the lies of the adversary, he had said, for our story is painted with the brush of God's grace. His voice echoed in their hearts, reminding them of the truth buried deep within their souls. As dawn approached, a faint light kissed the horizon, and from that luminescence came a clarity that sliced through the night's intimidation. Within that light, the sisters beheld visions anew, a tapestry unfolding with radiant strands of destiny, a destiny entwined with the covenant of the Almighty. Look! The daughters of our line shall lead nations, Seth exclaimed, witnessing the blossoming of hope even amid the creeping despair. They will rise to heights unknown, bearing the torch of faith into the darkened lands, casting out shadows with the light of truth. Ada, engulfed by the vision's clarity, spoke with fervor. They shall be called Felicity, bringing joy in the midst of strife, and Beulah, who shall declare the goodness of God's promises. Zillah felt a tremor in her spirit, knowing that the songs they sang now became the banners under which future generations would march. Our trials shall not break us, they will forge us into vessels of His glory. The Lord is our strength and our battle shield. Yet just as their hearts soared, a rush of darkness flitted through the grove, carrying whispers of despair. A sneering voice echoed amidst the trees. You believe you are secure in this newfound faith? I will turn the generations to come against each other. The seeds of division will sprout. With fierce resolve, Azariah raised her voice above the tumult with unwavering faith. Our God is greater. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you, Isaiah 54 verse 17. The lineage of faith shall not be severed. In that moment, an ethereal silence followed, laden with spiritual anticipation, as if the heavens held its breath. The sisters stood firm, wrapped in the unyielding fabric of their vows. Thus, a new chapter unfurled before them, bewildering in its scope, revealing a heavenly mystery yet to be unraveled. Soon they would find themselves bound to trials that would shape not only their lives but the entire course of humanity, an intertwining of faith and conflict, choice and challenge, woven into the great narrative of God's redemptive plan. And as the dawn light spilled forth, a celestial proclamation arose within them, for in these struggles, a power shall be unleashed that echoes through eternity, heralding the era of His sovereign purpose. What shall we become when the full weight of His plan is revealed? And it came to pass, in that sacred hour when the dawn broke forth with renewed promise, the daughters of Adam and Eve stood intertwined in spirit and resolve, emboldened by the divine whispers of their lineage. Their hearts beat in unison, resonating with the truth of their calling, a light against the encroaching shadows. The darkness had not quelled their spirit, but instead stirred within each of them an unyielding yearning for righteousness and a fierce determination to forge ahead. Ahlai, with a heart full of expectancy, spoke forth. Brothers and sisters, let us not shrink back from the trials ahead, for each challenge we face shall be a stepping stone toward glory. The Lord our God delights in using our struggles to shape us into vessels of His living presence. Her eyes sparkled with a fervor ignited by faith, as she beckoned her kin to look beyond their circumstances. At that moment, Yahweh's promise echoed through the valleys and mountains, reverberating through the very marrow of their bones. My children, do not fear, for I am with you. Though the tempest may rage, I am your anchor. And it was in this clarity that they felt chains of doubt begin to break. Seth, recognizing the mantle of leadership resting upon his shoulders, gathered his sisters and brother closely. "We are the heirs of an everlasting covenant," he declared, his voice a clarion call against the rising morning winds. "Look toward the horizon. The openness of the sky showcases the infinite potential of our legacy, a legacy marked by redemption." The weight of his words sank deep into their hearts, igniting sparks of hope that had been buried beneath layers of doubt. "Yes," Azariah interjected, her laughter ringing out like a bell in the still air. "The adversary may seek to divide, yet it is our unity that shall disperse the darkness. We will proclaim the goodness of our Lord, declaring his wonders in the ears of the world." Her words were met with a chorus of affirmations, a symphony of determination that danced upon the breeze, yet even as joy wrapped around them, a familiar presence stirred. Cain, struggling against the remnants of his tumultuous past, felt the gentle tug of vulnerability and longing for belonging overshadowed by fears of legacy. "What shall I do to mend the fractures I have caused?" he asked, his voice a mixture of longing and trepidation, seeking solace before the eyes of his kin. "Dear brother," Eve comforted, stepping forward, her hands extended in compassion, "though your past holds darkness, your path need not reflect it. Seek the face of God earnestly, for he holds the power to turn your mourning into dancing." There was a gentle authority in her voice, wisdom that only a mother could impart, echoing the heart of God. The breeze shifted, carrying forth the warmth of the sun, assuring them that a new season had indeed arrived. "Trust in the mercy that flows freely from the heart of our Creator. With each step of obedience, a pathway will unfold before you," she continued, embedding hope into the very core of their being, and just as the sun peeked fully into the awakening day, each sibling felt the mantle of their shared journey wrap around them, a tapestry woven with threads of faith, courage, and newfound strength. "We will rise," Seth proclaimed, eyes sparkling with divine assurance. "For we are destined to cultivate a harvest of righteousness. From our lineage shall come forth daughters of strength, fierce and resolute." Their voices harmonized, a chorus of declaration resonating through the land. "We shall not fear. We will tread boldly into the future, guided by the Lord, who has called us forth to bear fruit in a barren landscape." In that instant, the very soil where they stood seemed to tremble beneath them, reverberating with the gravity of their commitment. The unseen realm shifted, as a radiant light broke through the veil of night, illuminating their paths. "My beloved ones," came the voice, echoing gently yet firmly, "each trial you endure will strengthen you, and each victory will shout of my glory across the lands. Remember, the lineage of faith shall rise against the adversary's schemes, rooted in the unfathomable well of grace." It was then that the sisters remembered the stories woven through their lineage, beacons of hope developed against the backdrop of grief, pointing toward a splendor only God could orchestrate. It dawned upon them that their struggles were but platforms for his glory to flourish, mountains to climb, valleys to traverse, and battles to wage. The sacred bond of faith knitted them as one, preparing them to face the days ahead. They understood, with divine clarity, that to walk in his promise required more than mere belief. It demanded action, courage, and an unwavering willingness to embrace the unknown. "Let our songs be a declaration of faith," they cried, hands lifted as they stepped into the expanse awaiting them. "We will declare the wonders of our God, breaking forth like morning light upon a weary world." As they ventured forth, emboldened by the unfolding of his sacred plan, the winds whispered through the trees, echoes of faith taking shape, and the heavens responded with resounding affirmation. Their journey was just beginning, a legacy in the making, woven through the ages by God's sovereign love. And thus, beloved family of Adam and Eve arose with renewed hearts, the sun at their backs, stepping into their destined path. The divine echoes of their faith would resound generations to come, inviting countless souls to witness the mighty acts of God fulfilled through the obedience of those who dared to believe. As they journeyed onward, here is the call to you, dear friends: let this inspiring tale light your path and strengthen your faith. Engage with us and keep connected to powerful biblical stories by subscribing now. Every like helps spread God's message through the algorithm. Your reflections in the comments enrich our community. Share how this story has transformed your faith. And, don't wait even one more second, share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who desperately need to know the truth of God's unwavering love.